We move right along. Cincinnati, 13-6 win over New England. The big headline today is that Tom Brady simply has no weapons. His 52 consecutive games with a touchdown streak is over.
Danny Amendola cost him.
How so?
Because he threw down the one, and Amendola fell down all awkwardly and didn't get up and just roll into the end zone and got touched on the half-yard line. Otherwise, he'd had a touchdown there.
But that's not really.
And the game would have been 13-10 instead of 13-6, which would have put him in a position to tie it. It was actually a colossally huge play.
And
it was an awkward
Edelman dropped a pass.
Now the ball was clearly wet. Brady's throws were off. They were dropping balls. The conditions, I think, played a significant role in it.
18-38, 197 yards, an interception. He was sacked 4 times.
He looked terrible.
That was the big part. The 4 sacks were the biggest part in the Cincinnati newspapers. This is Cincinnati Enquirer pretty much said throughout. That play by Geno Atkins and the second play from scrimmage for the Patriots, they were like, yeah, that was the key. You got to get to him more and just rattle him. And they kept saying the entire Bengals secondary and defense said that he just looked uncomfortable after that play. And you just got to get to him as much as possible and rattle him.
Well, that's really interesting. So I'd be surprised if the Patriots didn't go 12-4 anyway this year, right? And but as far as fantasy football is concerned, Tom Brady's close to done. Okay, so he's
but out of anything, your pick is looking better than my pick. Well, I'm me reaching for Kaepernick and you taking Tom Brady.
I know, but either way, he's in bad shape. But to me, the question was, will Tom Brady over the last couple of years in the playoffs catch up to Tom Brady in the regular season? Here's what I mean by that. I think the last couple of years, Tom Brady in their last game of the playoffs has gotten rattled. No question about it. And
more rattled than Peyton Manning?
No, well, nobody can get more rattled than Peyton Manning in the playoffs. But no, to the point where the Ravens hurt him a little bit, and he just seemed like he was wincing and ducking towards the end of games instead of charging ahead like the old Tom Brady would. And I thought he got too old, he's too comfortable, Gisele's too hot. He doesn't want to risk his life and health and
his moat is too good around Brentwood, you know, yeah.
And so that's the overwhelming sense I got in the last couple of years in Brady in the playoffs. But yet he was still a monster in the regular season. But I'm like, if he's afraid of getting hurt in the playoffs, why wouldn't he be afraid of getting hurt in the regular season? So maybe that's beginning to catch up, compounded by the fact that he has no receivers that are above the age of 17.
As always, Jenks' need to explain things that are happening has gotten away from him. Gisele's too hot, he's too afraid. I don't know. What we can say is that he doesn't look as sharp. What we know is that he's missing Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, who apparently killed 3 guys.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I read. He's in some sort of trouble. I think he's back in week 8. What I would be curious about, in the end of that game, there was a rainstorm like I've never seen a football game played in.
Yes.
And if Amendola is able, and I'm not really knocking him, it was a super awkward catch.
Sounds like you are.
Well, he caught the ball at the 1, and there was nobody there for a second. And you were just loop forward, but he didn't do it. He got tagged on the half-yard line.
Your way into the end zone.
And then they couldn't get in. But would have made it 13-10 instead of 13-6, changes the whole nature of the game. That game probably goes to overtime if he gets in the end zone.
Sure.
And the Patriots might be 5-0, and we don't really have this conversation. But a team without Gronkowski, without Hernandez, without Wes Welker, I mean, that is gigantic. And Danny Amendola is a nice player. Danny Amendola is not Wes Welker, even when healthy, and he gets hurt all the time. Julian Edelman is a nice Jewish player. But he dropped a lot of balls. He did, rain or not. And I see Thompkins as being potentially a really good receiver.
Yes.
But he's not there yet. He almost made a great catch, but they overturned it. He didn't. He didn't quite hang on to the ball. And Brandon Lloyd's gone too.
Yes.
And Brandon Lloyd, who wasn't awesome, but was a professional receiver who seemed to know Brady a little bit.
And knew how to run his routes.
You see the frustration in Brady when guys aren't what he just expects to happen, and you see it. So, I don't think it's like his receivers are down a little bit. I think he's fallen from, he's used to working with A receivers, A guys, and he's now at C-, and it's really tricky.
Yeah, let me just defend Brady on the flip side here. I think the Patriots have screwed him for his whole career in a way, right? They've been great to him in certain ways. Belichick's a terrific coach, etc. But imagine if Brady had a Jerry Rice his whole career. Imagine if Brady had Marvin Harrison and Reggie
But they
Wayne.
had Randy Moss, and he
For
got
like
he got
2 years.
He got the most out of Randy Moss. that you could ask
No.
for.
Wait a minute. Randy Moss at the end of his career for 2 years, and he threw 25 touchdown passes just to Randy Moss in one of those years. Imagine if he had Randy Moss his whole career, right? I mean, Tom Brady, we wouldn't even have a conversation about Joe Montana, who's the best quarterback of all time, etc. We might have the reverse conversation. Is he better than Peyton Manning in the regular season?
Well, I mean,
right?
first of all, you make that's
23, by the way.
That's a certainly valid point. But it would also be like, what if he just had the Packer receivers? You know? But that said, he's had the greatest tight ends ever. And he did have Wes Welker. It's not like he
made them great too, though. Look, if you give these receivers to the Jaguars, they score -17 every week. Okay, they go 0-24 in a season. They somehow manage to do it. I mean, these receivers are horrible. Like, he makes Kenbrell Thompkins look decent. Kenbrell Thompkins on another team.
Undrafted out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's nothing. He's a loser. He's like the end of the Jaguars bench. No. The Patriots, with the receivers they've given Tom Brady over these years, have just screwed him royally.
Can I speak to your point? Commenter Bob Mars off of Boston.com. Tom Brady doesn't deserve this. This is the worst offense in over a decade. Who to blame? Belichick and Kraft. They knew last spring that Welker, Woody, Branch, Lloyd, and Hernandez would not be back. Do they go out and get Tom some weapons? No. They surround him with rookies, journeymen, and undrafted rookies.
A Woodhead.
Yeah, Danny Woodhead. Ask Peyton Manning what a difference it makes having elite offensive weapons.
By the way, the year that he had Randy Moss, Randy Moss.
He had him for 3 years, by the way.
Okay, the perfect season until the end. He threw 50 touchdown passes that season.
23 of them were to Randy Moss.
Yeah,
50.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think what was interesting to me is whether I don't think Brady suddenly got nervous in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think he didn't have the weapons, the offensive line. You know, it can't be the exact same, just as great every single year. A tiny bit more pressure changes everything for every quarterback who's ever played the game. So, but what will be interesting is if Gronkowski, and I'm dubious, they keep saying, "Oh, we feel great about it," until he plays. I don't know.
6 weeks now, about to be 6 weeks.
But if Amendola is healthy, and Gronkowski is back and playing by the playoffs, and Thompkins or Dobson by then, like some light goes on as to what Tom Brady wants, will he be different in the play? I think there's every chance that offense will be not at the level they were in the perfect season, but that offense could look a lot better, and they may be an offense that can hang it with Denver in a playoff game.
No, here's what you've talked me into. I was about to say it right before you mentioned Denver. Yes, they would be good enough to beat Denver in the playoffs, and I would love that.
Right. They'll beat Denver in the playoffs, 23-20. They don't even need that many points to beat Denver because Peyton will throw 4 picks.
Okay, we're talking about the losing team. Can we talk about the winning team for a second?
The Bengals are horrible, and everybody knows they're horrible, and they're like one of the league's jokes, except they're not horrible. But it seems like they are. But I was just looking, how many times do you think the Bengals have made the playoffs in the last 9 years?
6.
8 times since between 2005 and 2012.
5.
Yeah, well, it was 4. But I mean, like they make the playoffs every other year.
That's unbelievable.
Right, it doesn't. I mean, like that's quite successful.
And their defense is.
And the Bengals, in my lifetime, have consistently been in the Super Bowl. I mean, like for an average team, right, or for a team that's supposed to be the Bungles, right? Like, so you're absolutely right about that. But the thing with the Bengals is that everybody's absolutely convinced every year that the Bengals are among the teams that have absolutely no chance of winning the Super Bowl. And every year, they're largely right.
Yeah, they're largely right. They've made the playoffs. They've lost They've lost their first playoff game every single year.
They lost to T.J. Yates.
They lost to T.J. Yates. They've scored 17, 14, 10, and 13 in those 4 playoff games. They don't put up any points at all. And they do have these odd years where even though they've been good the year before or about to be good the next year, they've had a couple of miserable seasons in there, a couple of 4-12 or 4-11-1 seasons. So, you know, overall, but that said, you look at their record of the last 10 years, there's 4 playoff appearances, and then there's 3 other 8-8 years. Like the Bengals are not as bad as we think they are, but they are no threat to do any damage in the playoffs.
They also have one of the worst owners in sports in Mike Brown, who's just an asshole.
Terrible.
Cincinnati, by the way, at Buffalo next week. New England
probably be
at
4-2
home against New Orleans.
No. Let me just challenge that. I have no idea if they're going to win that Buffalo game because I think Cincinnati is the biggest enigma in the NFL. Like,
losing to Cleveland, beating New England, and now going to Buffalo,
beating the Packers. So
Yeah.
who the hell are the Cincinnati Bengals? I have no idea.
Yeah,
No,
great
I
point.
got
It's
you.
you're
Yeah.
Great point.
crazy if
It's
you're
in
going to bet on a
Buffalo.
Bengals game because you have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, I tell you, if Manuel doesn't play though, I would think the Bengals they're the better team. They should win that game, but that doesn't mean they will.